NASA's top science, exploration, and discovery stories of 2008. NASA landed on Mars, photographed distant worlds, added to the International Space Station, took part in a lunar science mission with India, and made major progress toward returning astronauts to the moon as the agency celebrated its 50th birthday in 2008. Here on Earth, NASA researchers recorded the continued decline of Arctic sea ice, won awards for aviation breakthroughs, discovered the cause of storms that brightened the northern lights, and helped create state-of-the-art swimsuits worn by Olympic gold medalists. 10 of the top accomplishments of America's space agency in its gold anniversary year are highlighted. For more information, log on to www.nasa.gov.
Main engine start, 6 engines up and running. And liftoff. Liftoff of the Proton rocket and the Zarya control module. The International Space Station is underway. The Proton building up thrust, good roll and pitch program according to flight controllers. The first component of the International Space Station heading toward orbit.
Houston Endeavour, we have capture of Zarya.
The hatch now coming open to Unity. Cabana and Sergei Krikalev enter the module.
If you got live coverage, look at the volume Sergei is floating around in. We are so pleased and excited and proud to be a part of the team that made this happen. And our special thanks to all the ISS folks, all their hard work. We remember when Unity was just an aluminum shell, and it is a truly fine piece of hardware. And just thanks to everybody in the Space Station program for all their hard work.
We have contact confirmed. Capture is confirmed. Zvezda now firmly attached to the International Space Station.
Alan, here you can see us deploying the boom after the APFR didn't work out. We had a lot of good handholds there, and I just felt that we could do this free float. And it was just a matter of keeping it under control and going slowly, and as you can see, it worked out pretty well.
1.
Intermediate.
We have ignition and liftoff. Liftoff of the Soyuz rocket, beginning the first expedition to the International Space Station and setting the stage for permanent human presence in space.
Берна 417.
Okay. We have contact. We confirm contact.
We have initial contact of the Soyuz capsule with the Expedition 1 crew to the International Space Station. Contact occurring exactly 21 minutes after the hour.
Okay, guys. Move to 5.
Let's look upon this as the real opening of the international space frontier, not just for a country, but for Russia, America, Europe, Japan, Canada, and all that are to follow.
Endeavour arriving.
One, zero, and liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis with Destiny.
About a little over 30 feet, hatch to hatch, and it's full of bays for racks. We have 6 areas here. We're going to put experiment racks in. And forward, you'll see the hatch where the shuttles will be docking in the future when they come to visit Alpha.
Ready?
Ready.
2 inches. Houston RSS, we have capture light.
Here's Jim single-handedly extracting a rack from the MPLM overhead.
We pass to your care Alpha's log with the hope that many successful entries here are recorded, that explorations are prodigious and discoveries wondrous.
What a beautiful piece of hardware.
It sure is, we agree. It's a shame Chris can't do this with the shuttle arm.
Well, you gotta have the big arm for that.
Now you can see the new Soyuz moving in. A unique view of 2 Soyuzes at the International Outpost, 2 of 3 Russian vehicles now at the International Complex with an unmanned Progress resupply vehicle docked to the aft docking port of the Zvezda module. And there is contact and capture.
This is the maneuver that I was supposed to say, yeehaw! So consider it said.
Here we can see the three sets of panels. Each of them will extend 75 feet long when at its fullest length.
Alpha Endeavour, thanks to the great Canadian hardware, we're now in position and you have a go for P1 grapple.
Okay, great.
A good view showing the two spacewalkers at the end of the 45-foot-long, 14-ton Port 1 truss segment of the International Space Station.
Endeavour departing.
Well, after 5.5 months, we had a great time, but it was our turn to go home and turn the station over to somebody else. And that handover began with the arrival of the Expedition 7 crew. They came up with Soyuz TMA-2. We opened the hatch, and the handover began.
This is now the first video I took of the crew leaving. I think Ed thought he was going back to Hawaii. So he took his shirt with him. It's a strange moment to close the hatch. At this point, Sasha and I now were alone for the next 6 months together, and we both looked at each other. And he said to me, "Is it scary for you?" And I went, "Is it scary for you?" And these are views taken by the cameras on the SSRMS, looking at us as we conducted the EVA.
Бортовой.
Он тех организаторов, которые пришли на корабле, там прикреплен.
Да, да.
Okay, now we're getting ready for the Discovery's arrival, and we're unpacking all the stuff that was stored in PMA-2, moving into PMA-3. This is part of the shuffle we have to do now and then, moving big things to make room for other things. And here's the famous rendezvous pitch maneuver, sped up 5 times. We're taking pictures of this. We're over Western Europe as the shuttle does this 180-degree flip, or 360-degree flip. The movie's only going to show you the first 180 degrees. But in fact, it was a full 360 flip, and we're shooting pictures like crazy, as you'll see in the next scene, and you'll hear the Capcom's voice in the next scene as well.
Sergey, that's a firm. They're probably about 10 degrees through the pitch right now.
And here we are welcoming the crew of the Discovery. There's Steve Robinson, Eileen, and Suichi.
We're maneuvering the logistics module up out of the shuttle payload bay to install it on the node nadir port on the station. We install it and then ungrapple and maneuver the shuttle arm, the station arm away, for that operation.
That dock time came to an end, as I said, successfully, and we said our farewells and returned the Discovery crew safely home to Earth with, again, Tomas joining us, changing the whole dynamic, I think, both on board the station as well as on the ground with the arrival of Tomas Ryder. It was very real change as well as symbolic change, I think, for the entire program. With 3 of us working on board here, working in the service module, Pavel working on the Electron, which it seemed like he was always doing, and me doing a little work on TVIS there. again, a crowd on space station. We had a great time with both shuttle crews. There you see that big truss element that was added to the port side of the space station. It included another set of solar arrays, adding the ability to produce power to support future assembly, eventually bringing up the International Partner Laboratory modules and getting to a bigger crew size and getting the space station up to its full potential as a research platform. Also making the space station, I'm sure, much more visible from the ground with the deployment of these fascinating arrays.
Yeah, this was a culmination of the Boston Marathon. It was pretty fun at some times and not so fun at other times. As a result of that, we also did some maintenance up there, particularly on the TVIS. And this is, we did maintenance during Expedition 14 and then later on Expedition 15.
This is moving an entire rack, which I don't know how much it weighs, but several hundred pounds, and you could probably see there were a lot of signatures on the back of the folks who put that rack together.
This footage here was from 116, STS-116, the Space Shuttle Discovery, which came up, and during that time frame we retracted a solar array. It gave us a little bit of problem. We created a little bit of a shaking necessity to try to get that guy in, but we finally got in, and that paved the way for 117, STS-117 to work pretty well.
We are actually unberthing the S5 element, which is a small truss piece. S5 was taken from the shuttle arm to the station arm, and then in a coordinated event, we actually have to have it in position before EV crew members get out the door.
The space station robotic arm now in motion again to move Harmony up to the port side of the International Space Station to pause before installation on the Unity node.
Station's the right word, but that's pretty amazing. That's pretty cool. When I came through here, there wasn't a node here.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here on this very beautiful piece of hardware. Of course, it was built in Europe, in Italy. I'd like to thank everybody that has worked hard in making this possible and allowing the space station to be built even further and preparing the place for the Columbus laboratory, the European laboratory, and the Japanese laboratory.
Peggy and I flew the arm to mate the PMA over to the Node 2 in its temporary location, and then a couple days later, we got to move that whole Node 2 PMA 2 back over onto the lab, and again, the robotics worked fantastic. The training and the support was terrific, as was the CBM training and mechanism. So everything works smoothly, and again, the view is just outstanding on the monitors. It's hard to concentrate on flying with such beautiful views on the monitors.
Okay, so thanks to the great work which had been done at the beginning of the expedition, we were able to launch the 122 mission, the shuttle Atlantis, bringing the European module Columbus towards the station. Everything went well for the during that mission, 122 mission, and we see here the first ingress of the European module Columbus and the outfitting of the module, which looks still very clean.
A few days ago during the EVA, I grabbed the high-def camera and I thought I'd shoot from end to end, and since I had a little bit of a break. So I went up to the flight deck, and there was Dex running the EVA with Rex and Hans outside doing an EVA. I could see him out the window. It was incredibly cool. Came back through the mid-deck. I passed the robotics workstation, and there's Leland and Leo running the arm. And then I passed through the Node 1, and Peggy is working out on the exercise equipment, and I go to the SM, and Yuri's doing a science experiment. So we were doing robotics, EVA, exercise, and science all at the same time, and I was goofing off, taking the movies. But we were doing all of those at the same time in space,
which is exactly like those movies they used to show you about 25 years ago about how we're going to live in space. It was almost like a promotional video, and it was phenomenal. And I thought, we're almost there.
This is the installation of the JLP, the logistics modules of the Japanese segment.
ATV arrival was kind of the icing on the cake. We'd had pretty much everything we wanted, and we got the bonus of actually getting ATV on board as well. It flew incredibly stable. We were real impressed with it. It was much easier than anything Yuri and I had simmed, and it was a lot of fun to open up that volume on the back end of the service module.
One of the main goals, of course, of our mission was to install the Japanese lab, and here you see Aki is gently pulling it out of the payload bay. And then we started a very, very slow maneuver of this gigantic module. It's the biggest that's on station so far at over 32,000 pounds. The maneuver, obviously, with such a big mass, had to go quite slow. It was about an hour of maneuver, but it was some great views while we did that. And, of course, as we attached it onto the space station, it was a great day for the people in Japan. Another thing we needed to do with the robotic arm was move the logistics module. This is another piece that STS-123 brought up, and they had it temp stowed. So we slowly guided it over to its final resting position on top of the Japanese laboratory.
After we got the Japanese module installed, we opened the hatch, and here's us putting a sign. It's a Japanese curtain. It just said, "Eat more chicken." And then after Karen and I checked out the air inside, everyone came inside, and you know, especially Garrett enjoyed the moment, showing off all his skills that he learned through his expedition. After having some time of fun, we had to get back to work. We transferred 8 racks. These racks are like 500 pounds each. And this is a sign where the technicians on the ground put at the hatch for us. And we saw the Japanese module grow each day. It was empty, and then it was full of racks. And in the stowage module, it's empty now. And also in the Japanese module, we had 2 windows, which we looked outside every time that we had some free time. The view out there was magnificent.
meters, 80 meters, 50 meters. Constant velocity phase detected. Altitude 40 meters, 30 meters, 27 meters, 20 meters, 50 meters. Standing by for touchdown. Touchdown signal detected. Landing it sequence initiated.
I think the epitaph for Phoenix is we had a great team, we had a great mission, we've accomplished something that was never accomplished before, landing north of an Arctic Circle or Antarctic Circle on another planet is an enormous success. I think it's historic. The team did an exceptional job. It's not every day you land a vehicle on Mars. Same was true for Mars Exploration Rover, same was true for Pathfinder, same was true for Viking. Well deserved, well deserved. And I'm just proud to be part of an exceptional team.
Flight 40K lights flying, bleeds closed.
Verify second last pre-burn pre-valve is open.
Second light pre-burn pre-valves open.
Oh, okay.
PS1 ignition authorized.
All the authorizations are being given. All the parameters are in good shape. The vehicle is good health.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0, plus 1,
Yes,
plus 2.
the vehicle has lifted off.
Vehicle has lifted off.
Vehicle has lifted off.
रॉकेट की उड़ान शुरू हुई.
Ignition sequence normal and lift off normal. R2 tracking.
PSO मोटर भी जलाई गई हैं.
P2 tracking. R3 tracking. Plus 20 seconds.
Now at the mission control center, there is a great sound and reverberation of the launch of the PSLV C11. The historic, and that shows how the vehicle is going, and in the behind is the expected nominal performance of the vehicle plotted there, and you can see that it is going very closely following.
PSM का separation पूर्ण हुआ.
The strap-ons have ignited, and we can see from the plot boards that the vehicle parameters are very good, and the vehicle is going precisely on the expected thing. This is the animation of the, yes. Very good. This is the ground trace of the vehicle following the expected path precisely.
92 सेकंड पर 6 स्ट्रैप ऑन व्हीकल से अलग हो चुके हैं.
All the strap-on separations have been completed